Dear children, in the last module we had learned about the conducting part of the respiratory system. In this module, we are going to learn about the next distinctive part of the respiratory system, that is a pair of lungs. And what is the function of the pair of lungs? It is a site where the exchange of gases is taking place, and hence it is called as a respiratory or the exchange part of the respiratory system. Now let us learn about the lungs in detail. We have a pair of lungs which is situated in which cavity? It is called as the thoracic cavity. Very good. It is called as the thoracic cavity or the chest cavity. And the pair of lungs rest on the diaphragm. You know what is a diaphragm? Diaphragm is a muscular partition which separates the thoracic chamber from the abdominal chamber. So the thorax, that is a chest part, and the abdomen is separated by means of the muscular partition called as the diaphragm. So a pair of lungs rests above the diaphragm. The pair of lungs, that is a right lung and left lung, it is different in size. It is because the lungs, the right and left, they are made up of different number of lobes. The right lung is bigger than the left lung because the right lung is made up of 3 lobes. It is made up of 3 lobes, and the left lung is made up of 2 lobes. And why is there a difference in these number of lobes? It is because of the position it holds. It is present on either side of the heart. So it is with respect to the specific position of the heart that the left lung is made up of 2 lobes and the right lung is made up of 3 lobes. Each lung, whether it is right or left, it is covered by 2 layers, and these layers are called as pleura. So the 2-layered pleura. What are the names of this pleura? The outer parietal pleura, the outer layer is called as the parietal pleura, and the inner pleura is called as the visceral pleura. The 2-layered pleura covers each lung, and in between the outer and inner pleural membranes, it is filled by a fluid called as the pleural fluid, and there must be a specific function for this pleural fluid. It lubricates the surface of the lungs so that it prevents friction between the membranes. And when does this friction happen? When can it happen? Membranes of the lungs move at the time of inhalation and exhalation. And during this time, there are chances that there can be friction. So in order to prevent friction, the membranes, in between the membranes, it is filled with a pleural fluid which prevents friction between the membranes. The lungs is formed by the bronchi, that is a primary, secondary and tertiary bronchi, plus the bronchioles, the initial and the terminal bronchioles, plus the alveolar ducts which terminate in balloon-like structures called as the alveoli. So all these structures together forms the lungs. Alveoli and their ducts together forms the respiratory or the exchange part of the respiratory system. And the functional unit and the structural unit of the lungs is the balloon-like structures called as the alveoli, where the exchange of gases takes place. So the lungs comprises of the bronchi, bronchioles along with the alveoli, and it is where the exchange of gases takes place, and hence it is called as the respiratory part or the exchange part of the respiratory system, and the alveoli is the structural and functional unit of the lungs. The thoracic chamber, where the lungs is located, is anatomically an airtight chamber. So there must be a specific objective why it is made an airtight chamber, and that we will learn right now. And how it is made an anatomically airtight chamber will be dealt first. Dorsally, the thoracic chamber is formed by the vertebral column. That is, on the back side, the thoracic chamber is formed by the vertebral column, that is a backbone. And ventrally, that is on the front side, it is made or it is formed by the sternum. This bone is the sternum. And laterally, it is formed by the ribs. These are the ribs. So we can see the ribs. On the laterally, it is formed by the ribs. On the ventral side, it is formed by the sternum. And on the back side or the dorsal side, it is formed by the vertebral column. So what is remaining? Only the bottom part. And on the bottom part, we learnt that the lungs rest on the diaphragm. So on the down part, it is formed by the diaphragm. And thus, due to this presence of all these structures, that is the vertebral column, the sternum, the ribs and the diaphragm, the thoracic chamber is made an airtight chamber. Why is it so? Any change in the volume of the thoracic chamber will directly reflect in the change in the lung cavity or the pulmonary cavity. So there is a direct proportionality between the change in volume of the thoracic cavity and change in volume of the lung cavity or the pulmonary cavity. And this setup is very essential for breathing.